here we are. Welcome back. Suffolk magnetos again. So since last week, what have I done? Not much. I've got a condenser. So we tested the coil and condenser, and I said I was going to get myself a condenser. So I've got one. So that's the fella. You can get these. There's a couple of companies that I tend to use. There's Villiers Services and Villiers Spares, I think they call themselves. They both got websites and things like this, points and condensers. You can get all of this stuff and it's quite reasonably priced. And it will be the difference between getting a good spark and not. So we've got that to put in. It needs soldering in. And then obviously we're going to put the stator back on there, set the points up and see if we've got a spark. So anyway, it's just you and me. The girls are away, so I'm going to do my best to do a reasonable video. Hopefully you can see what I'm up to. Yeah, let's see how we get on. So you're over there. I'm going to try and put you a little bit closer so you can see what you're doing. And then we'll get cracking. Let's see if we can do this. Let's have a look. So I'm just going to go down there. So hopefully, go maybe a little bit closer. Let's see what we're doing there. So I think that's probably what we need to do. So, yeah, we've got our old condenser there. So we need to just solder these three wires. So we've got the wire from the coil, we've got the points and our new condenser. So I'm going to put a little bit, I've got the soldering iron on the go. So hopefully it's nice and hot. So we've got a little bit of flux. So hopefully we're going to just put a bit of flux on the wires. Solder on them first. Sure there's soldering experts out there watching me make a, well, yeah. Well, let's have a go anyway. So, it's pretty hot now, so let's shake your hand today. So let's get a little bit. Points. God blimey, yeah, I've got a shaky hand today. I've got enough on there. So I just twist them all together, and then I think that's probably what I'm going to try and do. Underneath there, you probably can't see what I'm doing, but let's see whether that. So I think I'm just going to leave the old condenser there. So we'll see if we can get that what's stuck together. And then we're going to remove the condenser, so the old one anyway. Yeah, I think I've got that. Okay, right, so let's remove that old condenser. It's a shame really, because that old condenser, it looks rather nice, doesn't it, being a nice old brass one, but yeah, all right for decoration. I think that's about it. Probably the original one, actually, I shouldn't doubt for one moment. Yeah, you can see there's a little buckle on it. So the only other thing we've got to do is there is an earth wire coming from the coil, and you can probably see the screw on there, so we do need to remount that. So I think rather than stretching that earth wire, we'll just screw that into that one where it came from, and then hopefully we can get that one with the new condenser. So we need to keep these wires out of the way, so probably what I'm going to do is, let's have a look, probably do something like that. And I've got a little bit of heat shrink, I've got some of that ready. Let's have a look. Just put a little bit of that on the top. Obviously those wires mustn't touch earth at any point, so we'll just see if we can just get that to take. Why? I just get the feeling that it's a bit thin. Maybe I've never done this before. Let's stick another one on for good measure. Whether you can double do it, I don't know, but we'll give it a try. I think that's going to be okay. Good. So I just need to make sure it really doesn't touch earth. Okay, the points can still move okay. Yeah. I think what I will do, just looking at it, is this HT lead looks like it might be a bit short, and that looks like that's going to come off any time. So I've got a little reel of it here, so I think we've got the soldering iron here, we'll solder a new bit on, and I think we'll do more than what we need, and then we can always chop it down. Do a little bit of flux. Hope you notice, look, vintage engine, vintage flux. Don't know whether it actually goes off or not, but it seems to work okay, so we'll stick with it. Now then, so let's get a little bit of solder on that. I thought the soldering iron had turned itself off, or having a little tea break. Let's put a bit of solder there. Let's see if we can get that off. That's actually at the point of coming off anyway, isn't it? Actually, it's on there better than what you think. There's probably a little hook on it or something was hooked in there, but nevertheless, I think probably a bit short anyway, this high tension lead. Not to heat the coil up too much. It's hanging on there. Don't want to come off, does it? Let's see what I'm doing, but probably best not to, maybe. It's coming off an instalment. Anyway, let's see if we can solder it to that. So I'm guessing probably the thing to do is just make a little hook or something and then do what was on there. So I think probably let's see how we get on. Let's see how we get on with that. So I think the wire goes, yes, it comes sort of back that way. So I think we probably want to do something like sort of tuck it behind. We solder it. There's a little whisker there, we'll have that off. Teasing me. Oh, well. Right, anyway, I think we're gonna have a go. See if we can get it to stick. Not sticking very well. I think I probably should have put a bit of flux on that. Probably all got the remains of the old wire off. See if that's any better. Right. You just have to clean the end of the soldering iron up. we've got it, I think. Yeah, I think we've got it. We'll give that a try. Right. Soldering iron off. So that's the governor flap. So I think we're ready to put this on. So that goes through the little rubber grommet. You can probably, if I just take it off, you can probably see there's a little sort of a shoulder. Obviously it must go back on there. But we're going to put it back as we can probably just about see where the existing washers have made an impression, so we're going to put it back there. So just having a little look to make sure there's nothing that's going to rub on the flywheel. I think there's enough clearance there, but we'll soon see. So we've got that little felt there that needs a little bit of oil on, so or grease on. So we'll stick a little bit of that on there. Let's just it just keeps that can lubricated. And take the plug out. So and we've got the points are. See the points there, much too much gap on there, so we need to re-gap the points. So we're just going to turn it round. Let's have a look. See if they're opening and closing okay. So I think it is just the fact that they are too wide. So let's shut them down and see what happens. So with these Suffolks and like a lot of others, wire out the way. So that one obviously fastens the points, it's already loose. So, and this little fella there, it's on a cam, does the gap setting. So if we move it, we can see what's going on. So we'll just shut it up a little bit, nip that up. And just make sure they do open and close, because if they don't, we're not going to get a spark. It's as simple as that. They don't seem to be doing an awful lot. Shut them right down and then we'll see. Let's just see what happens there then. absolutely nothing happening at all. Now, I think it might just be that cam. Let's just see if we've got another one around, because that's probably worth changing. I'll just have a look. I thought it was okay, but maybe not. They are very important, these cams. You know, if they're worn or the top of it's sort of gone flat, it definitely affects the points and will affect your spark. Let's just see if we've got another one. I think I can see. Does look, I don't know whether you can see it, but yes, I think it looks like this whole stator, it's not sitting down properly. So I'm just going to turn you around a bit and we can see the points are, let's have a look, they're sort of half on the cam, half not. So let's just loosen that back plate and then we'll just give it a tap. Just see if it can go, it'll sit down a bit more. Otherwise, we're not going to get these points working. So, we need a hammer. Where's the hammer? And a hammer and a punch. Right, let's have a punch. So, let's see whether that will. That doesn't look right. Let's take that off and have a look. Yeah, I don't know whether you can see, but it doesn't look like it's sort of been sitting very well. And I would say it almost looks like it's a little bit buckled. In fact, I would say it is, because I don't know whether you can see, but if you look at the points, they're sort of cocked up a little bit. And I think this whole stator, this bit's a bit sort of, it is distorted. Obviously it's not sitting right down on its shoulder. That's a shame. What have we got here then? Let's have a look whether this one's any better. See, I've got this other one here, but it's had a bit of a hospital job with the coil. We'll just see whether that sits on there any better. probably tell us whether it's... Yeah, I mean, that's not sitting on there terribly well either, so maybe it is that. There's a little bit of damage on that as well. Yeah, certainly all a bit distorted. There's no question about that. So I think I've got to just find a better back plate, stator plate here, because we're just going to spoil all our hard work here, aren't we? So yeah, it's definitely distorted. It's probably a bit of both, really. It's probably a bit of this, and maybe it needs cleaning up round there a little bit, so it just sits on there nicely. And then obviously the points are square, and then they're going to touch the cam properly, and we'll get our opening and closing movement. So right, I need to find a better stator plate for that, and use that. I think that's the thing to do, or maybe I straighten it. So after a little bit of searching around, I've managed to find another back plate. I was going to use this one, but that didn't. I think it's fairly straight, but it didn't seem to fit very well. Didn't seem to go on that. I've also cleaned up that little shouldered part as well, but that one didn't seem to go on very well. But I found another one. So it goes to show you, all these old bits, they do sometimes come in handy. So what I've done is, yeah, these are, as you can see, the coils are riveted on. So we've got rivets like that. So obviously off camera, I drilled the rivets and I found a better back plate. And I've bolted it with just some quarter Whitworth bolts. Put some small nuts on there, hopefully it's going to clear, and some spring washers and a bit of good old Loctite. But this one seems to be quite good. In actual fact, when you look at this original one, I didn't notice it, but you can probably see just how buckled it all is. You can see the points pins all at an angle. So that would have caused problems. Well, the points didn't open, did they? So open and close. So you could probably straighten that out if you had to. But second-hand one saves the day. So anyway, so we're going to have a go at sticking this back on. So we've got our original coil, new wire, new condenser, clean the points. Hopefully this time it's going to sit on there properly, and we'll have some points opening and closing with the possibility of a good spark. It certainly seems to fit on there better, so all being well, the points will be sitting flat and following the contour of the cam. Get that one in there. Good, so I'll set those in about the middle. You can sort of see where the original washer prints were. Hopefully, if I just watch it, hopefully it's going to sit down nicely. And I'm not going to buckle it, hopefully. So far so good. So far so good, so let's have a go with that one. Good to nip it up. I know what's going to happen in a bit. I'm going to catch my finger on that governor vein there. There'll be a lot of bad language. Right, so let's just see if I'll probably have to shut them down, but if I turn the crankshaft, hopefully we've got some, yeah, we've got it's opening and it's closing, so that's obviously sitting down much nicer. Right, let's go back to the flywheel. I think it was 20 thou. There we go. Is that the flywheel? Yeah, I think it was. So we've got, I don't think you can probably just see it, but there's 20 thou. So we're going to set those points at 20 thou. I can see at the moment that's well over 20. So let's just, so we're undoing the main screw. And then the little adjusting cam is there. So we want to shut it up a bit. Let's try about there. Just nip it up. They always alter a little bit when you tighten this up, but patience is the name of the game. Right, so let's see if we find a 20. Must be getting close. It's hiding there somewhere. There we are. Right, we'll just wipe the oil off that. So I'm going to try and find the most open part of the points. We'll shut it up. Shut. Open. Right, I think that's about there. So we'll see what we've got. Tight. Open it up a bit more. Which you do it from that angle, you can see a bit better. A little bit more. Better. Yeah, I think that feels right. So let's just nip that up and then we'll just turn it once more. Just make sure it looks like, so we'll go around again. So we're going clockwise, the rotation. Make sure they do close. Yep, open them up. Yep, that's good. Right, so I think what we'll do, we'll just wipe a bit of paper, get the grease off the points. Shut them up. Good. Right, so I think we'll just put a little bit more grease in. We've been fiddling with it. We'll put a little bit more grease on that little felt oiler, which oils the cam. I think everything else looks in order. Got any wires touching? Right, let's see if it's got a spark. So our left-handed nut off. We've just got to remember again with these tapered crankshafts, you do want to make sure that there's no oil on these, because you really don't want the flywheel slipping or coming loose. Do the same with the flywheel, isn't it? Right, so we've obviously got to line up the Woodruff key and a cutout on the flywheel. We're not going to put the nut on yet, because if we haven't got a spark, it just saves me getting it put off. So that's on there. Right, is it going to spark? Let's have a look. So we've got to turn it clockwise. I'm going to do it without the plug cap on. So let's just see if we can get a little place where hopefully you can see it. So let's see what we're doing. Let's start to get... There we are. You wouldn't do that if that was electronic ignition. So, got a good spark. I can probably put the nut on. I'll do that. I'm missing the washer. I don't know what I've done with it, but there is a washer around somewhere. Anyway, I can do that. Oh, and what else I found is, among my old bits and bobs, I found, it's not that old, but it's a Champion J8C spark plug. Shop soiled, but that'll go in there. That'll be all right. That'll be all right. And I've got, I think, I've got a nice little plug cap to go on that. So let's have a look. I'm pretty sure I have. Let's have a look. Yes, look at that. There we go. Got one of these nice resistor type, old-fashioned plug cap. There's two in there. Oh, looks like it's a bit, don't know. Anyway, let's put this one on. And then we'll try it with the spark plug. With my J8 spark plug. There we are, so that's that. Let's check the plug. Let's do the job properly, and then we'll check the plug. 25 thou, I think they say. Right, now, some unknown reason, we haven't got a plug nipple on that. So let's see if we can find one. Looks a bit corroded, so let's see if we can find a better one. There we go. Got that. So let's put that on there. I think I could have opened it up a bit. whether I'm going to break this or we'll own up. I know it needs to be a tight fit, but not this much of a tight fit. There we are, I think there we are. So let's crank it over once more. Difficult for you to see. Should spark on the plug as well, so see that, so let's have a go. There we go, nice blue spark. Happy days. So I've got to find my washer, because there's a washer that goes on next. It's a chunky one. And then I've got the starter clutch part, which is the little trigger bit. The carburettor will go on next because we need to leave the cover off so that we can connect the linkage to the governor. So it'll be, yeah, nut, starter clutch, carburettor linkage, and then the engine cover. And then we're getting there. So, right. Back a bit. So there we have it. A spark on a Sunday afternoon. Nice little Suffolk engine. So yeah, one of those little jobs, a little bit of patience, but I think it's quite enjoyable. And yeah, goes to show you, always pays to keep all these little spare parts that you might have hanging around. You never know when you're going to need them. I might try and straighten out, I don't know. But anyway, thanks to that, got a good spark. So I think I'm going to call it a night. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and we might do one on the carburettor bit and putting it back together. But as I said, this engine is going on one of my early corporations, this Suffolk engine. So that will go on there, and then I've made little progress, but we're going to get back on as soon as I've done some progress worth talking about. On the 14-inch Suffolk Punch, we're going to strip the engine on that. I've got to get the right paint for the right green paint. I've started priming it, and well, it's really an orange, isn't it? Not a red for the cowling, so I've got to get some orange as well. So once I've sprayed the bits, we'll get back onto that as well. But anyway, there we go. Sparks on a Sunday evening. Hope you enjoyed the video, and there may well be one next week or the week after. Thanks for watching.